Team Falcons is broken. Today we're going to be doing a draft analysis. It's been, honestly, I think multiple years since I've done one of these for YouTube, so I thought I'd head on here and teach you guys about what's going on in the meta. Also, you can just see this video as a general meta update. I'm going to be talking about what heroes are strong, what's being banned, why it's being banned, and so on and so on. So alright, let's get into it. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. Couple bans right off the bat. We have a Darks here, top offlaner right now, quick wit, as well as his innate, makes him a very dominant laner, very hard to counterpick, so a lot of teams are getting rid of that. Then we have an Enigma ban. This is a hero that a lot of teams like to flex, right? So they'll pick Enigma, and then it's a strong 3 or a strong 5 that's also very hard to counterpick. I would say in terms of safe laners, the only real one that I've seen that's very good against Enigma is Gyrocopter. Everything else is pretty playable, and Enigma can actually win almost all of these lanes. On the other side, we've seen a major rise in Chen as of late. It's a hero I definitely recommend trying to play if you want to put some time into a hero, because the Satyr creep gives you mana burn. It's really crazy. When you choose the Satyr converter, which is like the innate of the hero, you get to summon a Satyr, and it gives 1.75 mana regen to everything around it. This includes your safe laner and you, and this is huge because Chen has massive mana problems, so it really solves that. And then it also just gives you a mana burn creep, which is crazy for the laning stage. Really, really obnoxious. We see a Sand King ban. I talked about that in a recent video. Broken mid laner, broken off laner. Does way too much damage, way too good at farming. It can become stupid tanky and obnoxious with Bloodstone. So very powerful, extremely good flex for Team Falcons right now. And it's starting to be first phase ban against them, which I couldn't agree more with. I think this hero is insane. We see a Shadow Fiend ban. This hero got nerfed really, really hard, but teams are still picking it, and it mainly, in competitive Dota, comes down to the flex. Being able to put the hero as a mid laner and a safe laner makes it very hard to draft because, well, this hero is a lane dominator and can be put in 2 different lanes and counters like 30% of the hero cast in lane. And so, yeah, you just have to be very afraid. Tiny, crash landing Tiny, super, super reliable. Talked about that in the video. Basically, being able to one-shot creep waves is very OP in Dota, right? It makes the game easy to play, and just being able to do 400, 500 damage to someone without even remotely committing on them, as well as slowing them, is insane. And finally, we see a Doom ban come out. This hero is starting to pick up in some popularity. Amar loves it, 33 loves it. Very powerful. I think the faster you can sell back items for 90% of their value is great, because when you sell your bracers, your wand, your Midas, you just get an insane amount of value for these items that you already just abused for the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. So that's pretty good. We see a Snapfire come out for the side of Team Heroic. This hero is mainly being played as a 5 or a 4, but it's also being flexed to mid, and this is why teams love Snapfire. You kind of just drop it down, you pick the hero, and you're like, okay, we have a Snapfire. Now we have early game damage, and we have a good laner. This hero is a very good laner right now, with either the full bore facet, which lets the Q, the Scatter Blast, do more damage, bonus damage when they're further away. That's super good for securing range creeps and poking people in general. And Little Shredder does a nasty amount of damage, especially when you go 202 skill build. So the hero as a support or a core is really OP, can be played off lane, mid, or in both of the support roles. And trust me, it feels great. We see a Weaver come out for Team Falcons. This is a flex pick, but they mainly play it as a safe laner, and I like this for Team Falcons. This is a team that loves picking Weaver, Gyro, these dominant safe laners that are hard to gank. And to me, one of the main things I think a lot of pro teams even don't really prioritize enough right now is having safe laners that can survive ganks. The reason why is currently the position 5 can hit the gate and get behind the safe laner, the mid laner, easily. Nowadays, people are so good at hitting smokes from minute 6 to minute 12 and killing the safe laner. When you pick heroes like PA or PL or Sven, Sven's a bit better because he's very tanky with Warcry, right, and has a stun. So he's better than some of the other heroes, but which is why I think Falcons actually like Sven a little bit too, because he can flash, he can play defensive, and he's also pretty tanky. The Weaver is really good against this meta of heavy pressure on the safe lane. He's very good at dealing with them. I think Falcons thinks this way, which is why they love Gyro, they love Weaver, and these types of heroes. Dragonite was another hero for a while for them, because it's a hard to gank hero. So yeah, that's what Weaver does. Then we see a Timber ban, a Razor ban from Heroic, just targeting Amar. I don't think Snapfire is even bad against either of these heroes. If anything, the magic damage of Snapfire against Timber is very good. The Cookie against Razor is good at helping people get away from Link. So I don't really think this is a bad matchup. I think there's banning for Amar, funny enough. On the other side, we see a Bloodseeker ban. They only get 1 ban here, and it's just to protect the Pangolier. Nothing special here, just Rupture against Rolling Thunder. going through spell immunity, right? Rupture you can use it on Pango when he's rolling so that it does a ton of damage to him during the roll. It basically stops him from using it completely. And getting into the Pango, the reason why this hero is really good as well is Team Falcons flexes it from mid lane to off lane. And that's really powerful, again, because these early picks, when you can flex them, it becomes very hard to counterpick. You don't know exactly where the hero is going. On top of that, Shadow Fiend got banned out. I would say the main one that comes to mind that's like a Pango counter that Heroic could go for is like a TA. It's very good in the laning stage, and so maybe they'll kind of aim for that. But we'll have to see. I mean, this Pango hero, it's just good. It's just good, and when you have a Weaver, you want someone to frontline, and also Pango can reduce armor by, I think, 12? It's either 11, 12, or 13 with Lucky Shot with the 10 talent. And with Weaver, the Swarm reduces armor, and now you have this very bizarre minus armor strategy that like also has team fight, which that's why Pango is so good in minus armor strategies. Typically, minus armor lacks early game damage and lacks team fight, and that's why Pango is so favorable in these pro games, because he just does both with minus armor strategy. It's really odd, but it's good. And on the other side, I like the Sven here. We see a Rubik come out, which, okay, you can steal Sakuchi. It's nothing crazy here. It's some early game damage. You can steal Rolling Thunder. You can steal Sakuchi. Nothing crazy. Very standard, very safe. I like the pick. The Sven, talking about minus armor between these two heroes, Heroic sees that. It gives you a hero that can burst Weaver, and it gives you that armor, right? That AoE armor against Pangolier. Pangolier's ulti, Rolling Thunder, the ball, is physical damage. People forget that. It was changed. It used to be magical. Now it's physical. And so a hero like Sven, items like Solar Crest, Buckler, Wraithband, whatever it is, Assault Cuirass, make you tankier against Pangolier. And so Warcry is one of the hardest counters to Pango in the game. Even support Sven. This could be a support Sven, for sure. It could be a mid-snap, and now you just have Sven clicking Warcry with his Shard, giving his team 21 armor, eventually 31 armor with the talent, which is obviously insane. And so, yeah, big fan of the Sven pick here. Can be a support or a core. It's also a hero that buys BKB, which is good against Pango not being controlled. A very safe Hoodwink pick coming out for Team Falcons. There's not too much to say here. It's just Hoodwink. Basically, Weaver and Pango don't have the best early game burst. Pango has okay. And so Hoodwink is just the early game burst damage, as well as a very reliable laner. It's not too much more than that. I wouldn't even look into it. It's just wave shove, good laner, solid. Enchantress comes out next. This hero is liked against Rubik and Snap because Rubik doesn't have the best steals against Ench. It's not too fun. The laning stage, Ench is reasonably good at trading, and when she can take over creeps, Rubik really can't deal with them. And so you're assuming these are the support heroes, and none of them really like dealing with the Ench creep when it comes online, and that's going to be the main idea here. That it's going to be able to pressure towers because these heroes can't kill it. It's going to be able to dominate some of these heroes in the early game. And it's going to be a frontliner for these heroes, and none of these heroes really want to go in first. Pango sort of can, because he gets that barrier from double jump from his W, but it's not reliable. You don't want to get bursted from full. They have a lot of stuns already, a lot of burst damage here. Don't necessarily want him to walk in first. Instead, you're going to go for Ench, who, by the way, is taking overprotective wisps now. That's the facet where when she takes 250 damage, which is not a lot, she gets a wisp that lasts for 4 seconds, healing her up. And so Enchantresses are maxing their E and being unkillable. It's very obnoxious, and it works through BKB, and so Sven actually can be a pretty difficult time for Sven to kill Enchantress in the game, so definitely a fan. It also gives them building damage, which you completely lack here. Weaver as a hero is not good at killing buildings. He wants to go in later on in the team fights. He doesn't wish to be initiated on. Sometimes it's okay if you're super farmed and have like Satanic, but until then, it's not the hero that wants to get gone on, so you'd way rather play behind some sort of Enchantress. Also, Enchantress Enchant can purge Sven Warcry until he buys the Shard, and that's really good. We see a Slaughter come out, which, personally, I don't really love. I feel like they think amp damage against Weaver, amp damage against Pango roll. Other than that, I mean, Enchantress purges Slitherine Sprint, or Sprint, whatever it's called. His Q that makes him go fast. Ench gets rid of it if she's aware, and so that's always pretty problematic. You're pretty terrible at killing Ench as well. You're like reasonably good against the Ench creep because the bash does bonus damage to creeps, and so maybe that's kind of the idea here. They just want a dominant lane. If you have a Rubik Slaughter lane or a Snap Slaughter lane, very, very strong, right? Both of them. So maybe I just don't exactly get it. I don't feel like it pressures Weaver in lane. Maybe it's like Weaver Sakuchi's on you, and if you stun him into a bash, it's actually very uncomfortable for him. I don't exactly know what the logic behind the Slaughter is. I'm not so sure. Maybe they want to pair it with some sort of gyro here, I could see that, because then when the Pango Rolling Thunders or a TA, I could totally see it. I could totally see a TA here, because they don't really have the best way at getting on top of TA. No, they're going to go for Storm, so this is just a Sven carry. I thought maybe the Sven would be support mid-snap and then pick another carry here, but they go for the Storm Spirit. It's fine. It's considered a even matchup against Pango, maybe slightly winning against Pango in the mid lane, just because, like, the Static Remnant, it's very easy to hit the enemy heroes. They don't have the best control for Storm, but Storm really struggles to kill Enchanters because you have to auto-attack. You're pretty good against Hoodwink because you can catch the Hoodwink in the tree line when she scurries. That's kind of nice. You can get away from Pango Roll sometimes, you know, just like zip away. You buy Orchid against Weaver, so I can kind of see it, sort of get it. I just maybe would have liked the hero that has a tad more synergy with Amp. I suppose they think Storm does. It does right-click at the end of the day. So it's not bad, a very well-rounded draft, a lot of damage. The main thing that they lack here is objective damage. My main concern for Heroic is going to absolutely be, can they kill buildings? They basically have to wait until Sven has items. They can't pressure a tier 2. It's not very easy for them to take tier 1s. They're going to have to bring many heroes, which you can do, tier 1s. You don't need a siege hero to kill tier 1s in Dota, guys. You can just bring 4 or 5 heroes, and that will be enough. For our last pick from Team Falcons, they're going to go for Slark. And I thought the Slark pick is pretty cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, I actually think it's a good lane against Sven. I've played this matchup myself, and as long as you have support that's helping you out, casting the occasional stun like Hoodwink, you can really dumpster Sven. Sven just has a hard time trading. Also, in terms of how the game plays out, when you get on top of Sven with Diffusal, it's really obnoxious because this hero has massive mana problems and can't exactly fight Slark, and when you burn Sven of his mana, the hero just gets kited. He can't BKB sometimes as well if he's not careful. And so it's really problematic with the Slark ulti and the Slark shard. Sven just can't hit. The shard also, as I was saying, it saves allies. You put it on the ground and you can kite out the Sven stun and kite out the Sven BKB with Slark. On top of that, they just can't really kill Slark very easily. Everything can be purged by his Q, and so he can really get around the map. And the last thing I like to say, I think the Team Falcons draft can play a very wide map. Instead of coming together in one lane and trying to take towers, they can kind of just spread out, use the Enchanters to take tier 1s, and just look for pickoffs with a very fast-paced Weaver, fast-paced Pangolier, fast-paced Hoodwink with Scurry, fast-paced Slark. They can kind of just maneuver around this map and not necessarily taking team fights, just kind of playing a very wide 3-lane map. And I'm curious to see how this game plays out. Team Falcons does go on to win, but they are Team Falcons, so that is, you know, obviously something. But okay, thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one, and I'm out.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.